Welcome to Deep Drinks Podcast, where the drinks are deep and the conversations are deeper. Welcome everyone to Deep Drinks Podcast. Thank you everyone for showing up. This is going to be a fun one. So normally on Deep Drinks we don't tend to. We normally have unpartisan, unbiased conversations. At least I try to be unbiased and try and just try and see the other side's perspective. But that's not what we're doing today. Today we're just roasting Kent Hovind and Matt Powell because they deserve it, and also talking a little bit about some internet drama and some atheist activism. But before we jump into it, and before I introduce the guest, as always, if you like listening to these podcasts, you can check out Deep Drinks on all podcasting platforms and listen to them on the way to work. It's actually been quite interesting. I've actually been listening to my own podcast because people have been like, "Oh, the episode you did with Dr. Josh was really good," and I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then I go back and listen to it. I'm like, I forgot everything he said. This is really interesting. So if that's something you want to do, check that out on all podcasting apps. The other thing is Deep Drinks Podcast is growing really well, and we have a few really interesting upcoming live streams. So next week we have Holy Humanist talking about leaving Islam and human rights, especially women's rights. So that's going to be a really interesting and awesome interview. I'm getting very excited about that one. We're drinking red and white wine, which will be good. And then we also have the big boy return of Michael Jones. We'll be talking about the problem of evil. And we have another secret guest in between these two. So they're going to be good episodes. And for those who don't know, as we grow in subscribers, when I get to 1,000 subscribers, we can start doing things like super chats. People can ask questions, which means and I can also monetize the channel. And what that means is, I can start doing this more as a full-time basis, or I can start working towards doing this full-time, or at least making some revenue off this. But we're going to start with a charity stream, and the charity stream will be a 6-hour charity stream where we will be doing some fun stuff. And you can see last week, look at the little thing down the bottom. That's how many subscribers we have. Bam! We just upped some subscribers, and I think it's even gone up just this morning from you guys subscribing. So that's really thankful that you guys are turning out and subscribing. But I wanted to give you guys a taste of something we might be doing if I can get past the line in the 6-hour charity stream. So I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but Kenneth Copeland used to make cowboy movies. And they are the best. I grew up on them. There's one that goes like 45 minutes, and I think as a group, we need to watch it together. So I've got a little clip of what you can maybe expect. Here we go.
Let's use this country to our advantage. We can ride a good ways in these streams, and we might come across a buffalo trail.
Why'd we want to do that? Well, Elmer, if those outlaws decide to follow us, it'll make it awful hard for them to pick up our trail.
So, I mean, look at that. It's just the perfect level of cringe. It's just so good. You can't get better than that. But without further ado, I want to welcome our guest for today's episode. So his name is Atheist Junior, AJ, who's an atheist activist who regularly commentates on creationist Kent Hovind and hate preacher Matt Powell. He has a YouTube channel with over 6,000 subscribers and is quickly becoming the go-to source for arguments between atheism and theism. So welcome, AJ.
Hey, that was a very, very generous description. So thank you. Thank you for mentioning my sub count.
Oh, well, yeah, you're growing really fast. And it's not like, you're not just over 6,000, you're like 6.5, is it?
It's like 6,300, not that I keep track.
Do you go on the app like every day and you're like, oh, more subscribers? I do.
I mean, yeah, when you start doing YouTube, it is hard considering how the detailed analytics that YouTube gives you, it's hard not to check it. Yeah, I do check it a couple times a day, but I try not to obsess over it too much.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like it becomes like a game because there are so many things that YouTube gives you, the analytics, like where people stop watching, etc., etc. We could do a whole other stream on content creation, but we're on Deep Drink, so we're drinking today, and we're drinking something delicious. We're drinking. What are we drinking, AJ? You chose the drink as always.
I'm drinking a giant frozen margarita because I am from San Antonio, which is South Texas, and we have a huge Hispanic Mexican culture here. So one of the popular drinks is margaritas, and like we have Taco Cabana here. So you go to Taco Cabana and you sit on the patio and you get drunk and you eat tacos. And that's just like our culture. And we eat tacos and get really fat and drink tequila.
That sounds like heaven on earth. Eating tacos, getting really fat, and drinking tequila.
Yeah.
Well,
I made fajitas for dinner yesterday.
I made burritos.
Delicious. Oh, yeah, awesome.
I'm a vegetarian, so like I eat so many beans, like so bean burritos, man. It's just anyway, I'm mixing mine. So I got my bottle of tequila, and I think I'll put one shot in for now, but we got more shots to come. And I got the old margarita mix, and I'll mix it all together, and then we can get started. So, you have been killing it on YouTube, making commentary on young Earth creationism, especially Kent Hovind and Matt Powell. How did you get started?
Well, I joined a Kent Hovind, an anti-Kent Hovind Facebook group. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's like one major one run by a fairly controversial individual who Kent Hovind does not like, a former IRS agent named Robert Beatty. And I started posting on that Facebook group because, I discovered this genre on YouTube of people who made videos debunking Kent Hovind. So I discovered like his debates against like Aaron Ra, Bill Ludlow, and King Crocoduck, and all these classic debates, and I instantly got hooked on watching those debates. But I also sort of started hate watching Kent Hovind and couldn't stop because he was just so fascinating to me. And so people like Thunderfoot, he has a playlist called "Why Do People Laugh at Creationists?" I think.
Oh, it's amazing.
And with some really, really old videos from like 2005 or 2006 that he had done about Kent, they still hold up. The quality is bad, but the arguments are still good. And Aaron Ra, obviously, and there was like this channel that is no longer on YouTube of like this, like the skeptic generation or like the skeptic team, something like it was like these 2 or 3 people, and they did a lot of videos debunking Kent. And Kent, who said, feel free to, copy my videos. None of them are copyrighted. Copyright struck a lot of these videos. That's why that channel's not on YouTube anymore, because CSC did copyright strikes against a lot of these videos. So I noticed that this genre of YouTube videos that I loved was kind of like dead. Like people had moved on to other theists like Ray Comfort or Ken Ham, or take your pick. It's Dr. Craig. And go ahead.
Just to interject there, like I can see kind of why it's like beating a dead horse. You're like, when is this horse gonna die? Like this horse is dead. Like when like his points have been destroyed over and over and over and over and over. It's like, at what stage do you just go like, he's a lost cause? But then I think what you've done is you've made it funny, and you made it, you know what I mean? Like it's no longer about like trying to convince him or his audience necessarily. It's more just like, let's watch this train wreck in slow motion.
Yeah. So I I had seen like these videos, and my philosophy with my YouTube channel has been that I try to make videos that I wish other people would make, or I try to make videos that I would want to watch. Like if I was stuck on a desert island with only my own YouTube channel, would I be able to like enjoy that? And so I started making these videos just for the Facebook group. I just found a couple clips of Kent and just did voiceovers. They were just these crappy videos I made on my phone, and people on there liked them, and they said like, "Hey, like why don't you just try uploading these to YouTube?" And then I did, and then the first video uploaded was like 100 or 200, 300 views, and I was like, people are actually watching this, you know. And then it just went from there basically.
Yeah, right. That's so cool.
I will say that it is definitely true that Kent Hovind's arguments have not changed from like 2005 or earlier. You know, because truth doesn't change. Truth doesn't change. That's what Kent says, that truth doesn't change, but that's not true because science does change. Science is always being updated. They're always discovering new things in science. They're updating their models, so that's just not true. But there's a lot of people who, like me, have a weird fixation of hate watching Kent's videos just to see what he'll say next, basically. And some people feel uncomfortable about that because it's like, well, you're giving him watch time for the algorithm. You're giving him a boost. Even if you dislike the videos, it's still boosting his channel. And people can't comment on the channel because he has this weird amount of filtered words. Like you can't say the word Jesus. You can't say the word like sell, or like the word like book. Like there's a million filtered words. And also like Matt Powell deletes any comments that are negative towards Kent. So what I've been able to do with my video is sort of provide a platform where people can not only see the crazy stuff Kent is saying, but that algorithmic boost is going towards an atheist channel that they actually want to support. They can also leave comments in a space where I'm not going to delete them unless they're like anti-vaxxer shit or just spam. And also, like, you know, people enjoy the commentary I make. So it's like transformative content to where, you know, you're not just having to sit through a Kent video, but you actually have me pausing the video and be like, no, Kent, that's bullshit. And then like doing some stupid Kent Hovind voice.
Yeah. It's truly funny how dishonest they can get, like what levels they can get to. I remember when I first found Matt Powell, I was like, wow, like this guy he must know he's deliberately misrepresenting the information. There must be something. I'm trying to psychoanalyze him. Like, what's going on? Like, why is he so fixated on this? Because he knows he must be misrepresenting the information. So he can't. He's not that dumb. I don't think he can't be that dumb. Surely, like he wouldn't know how to turn on a phone. If he was that dumb. So it's like, there must be something else going on. I really want to find out. I reckon when he's a bit older, we'll find out what that thing is. Like he might have, I don't know, something might happen. Like, something might happen, and we'll work out. Oh, okay, so he was just compensating for this thing or that thing or whatever. Yeah, but just for people. So I have a relative who watches this who doesn't know. You know, she's older. She's not like internet blood sportsy kind of people. And she would have no idea what we're talking about. But she likes the podcast, and so I just want to read out some statistics just on creationism in general. So creationists are people who believe that necessarily don't subscribe to evolution, the theory of evolution, or Big Bang theory, cosmology, or anything like that. They believe that usually they believe that humans were created just the way they are, you know, usually 6,000 years ago, sometimes 6,000 years ago, depending on what religion. So a few facts. In 2013, 9% of people in Australia don't believe in evolution. So that's pretty good. Like Australia's doing okay. Yeah. But in America, in June of 2019, Gallup released their most recent poll of public attitudes on evolution and creationism. According to the survey, 40% of the sampled US population were creationists. So almost half the population were creationists. That is, when asked which of the following statements comes closest to your views on the origins of human development, 40% of respondents said God created human beings pretty much in their present form at one time or within the last 10,000 years or so. That is mind-boggling to me. That is like, I'm in the Texas of Australia, pretty much, which is like the bumpkin state.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the more liberal part of the bumpkin state, but like, yeah, that and so I run into more people probably than like someone in Melbourne or Sydney, but 40% of the population in America believes that doesn't accept like basic things like evolution or Big Bang cosmology. It's insane to me. And not only that, these organizations are fighting really hard to remove like science from basic students' textbooks. They don't want to. They don't want kids to learn about evolution in school, in public schools. So although this is like, although this is like funny and everything, there is actually some truth, a deeper kind of somber reason why this is important, and it's because this kind of thinking is actually rampant in the world and rampant in America. Yeah. Have you discovered? What part of? Do you mind telling us what part of America you're in?
I live in Texas.
Yeah.
So I live in South Texas. I live in San Antonio. It's by the capital, which is Austin. And I will say that when I was in high school, which I graduated 2007, I don't know if that makes people feel young or old, but I feel old. We didn't have evolution in my biology curriculum. I didn't learn about it. So like, really, I didn't really understand anything about evolution until I got on YouTube and found channels like Aaron Ra and Jackson Wheat and Gutsick Gibbon. And, I still accepted it. Oh yeah. I actually got to meet Erica in person last year, and that was awesome.
She's such a badass. I love her animation at the start of her videos too.
Yeah, she is blown up. Her channel is like, I mean, if you think my channel is, she's like, she'll be at 100K in no time. Seriously.
Yeah, and she deserves it. Like, she puts in so much work into her content, and it's really good. But yeah, you were saying the schooling system.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, we had the chairman of education was this fucking diaper gremlin named Don McLeroy. And he like literally, said shit like evolution teaches that spiders came from rocks, shit like Kent Hovind shit. Like, and he was like a former dentist. I mean, he's done a debate with Aaron Ra, which is hilarious, but they had a strong activism campaign to get evolution out of our textbooks, which they accomplished, up until recently. And also whitewashing the history books, changing shit like the Atlantic slave trade to the triangular trade, or, trying to take out any mention of historical figures who were not white Christian, WASP, basically. It's just ridiculous, And so that's part of the reason that inspired me to make my channel, was because I was annoyed that I didn't learn about evolution sooner. And I would like to try and be somebody who can communicate science to people, because I'm a layman. I don't have a fancy degree like Erica or Jackson Wheat,
Kent Hovind.
Right. I don't have 4 PhDs. I am just I'm just a guy on YouTube, basically. But I like to think that I can explain what I do know in a way that is intuitive for people to understand, because I do think part of the reason that we have such a low acceptance of evolution is because a lot of people don't understand evolution. And I've mentioned this before, but this is why I don't like the definition of evolution. If you ask certain people or like a scientist, what's the definition of evolution? It's like, okay, well, it's a change in allele frequencies. And it's like, okay, what the fuck is an allele?
Yeah.
Like
I
allele,
know.
I barely even knew her, like
Yeah.
that isn't something like that is not an explanation, because that just gives me more questions. It's like, okay, well, what's an
Mm.
allele? Why is a change in their frequency significant? What's the connection between that and evolution? And if we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
Mm.
Like, that's the thing. Like, like I say that as a joke, but I think, we need to be able to actually answer these type of questions, because if you can engage with people on an intuitive level, that's when they can start to understand things about evolution. That's actually one thing I will say I respect about Kent Hovind, is that he is an effective communicator. That's part of the reason why so many people find him compelling, is because he talks on a
Mm.
really simple level. It's just everything he says is bullshit.
Yeah. And
You know?
it's frustrating because from a surface level, it makes a lot of sense. Like from a
Right.
surface level,
Yep.
like you're like, oh yeah, yeah. I remember seeing, and we're going to review this later probably if we have time. But I remember seeing one of my friends' mums posted a clip of Ken Hovind, like a little clip on Facebook. I don't think she's a creationist, but the way that well, she probably is, but not a young Earth creationist. Whatever. Sorry, I digress. But he was like talking so well that it made it sound like, well, God is the answer. Like he made a really good case for like God is the gaps, essentially. Like
Yeah.
he's outside of time and blah, 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 like all that kind of stuff. And she shared it, and I was like, and I thought to myself, like, she has no idea how dishonest, how immoral, how much of a con man this person is, allegedly. I don't want to get sued by Mr. Hovind. But so before I really want to do a bit of a deep dive into the Kent Hovind memes. And when I say memes, I mean like the definition Richard Dawkins used in his book, like ideas. But I really want to deep dive into that. But to give people a taste, so when I was preparing for this interview, I was looking up like compilations. I was trying to look up compilations of Kent Hovind and his little buddy Matt Powell. It's like Batman and Robin, right? And I was trying to find compilations, and I couldn't find really good snappy ones that just quickly and easily show the problem with this dude. So I made one, right? So I showed a bit of like his conspiratorial thinking. I showed some of the really hateful things that Matt said. Now, this clip that I'm about to show, content warning: if you get triggered by absolutely homophobic, disgusting comments, turn off for a few minutes. 3 minutes probably. It is absolutely filthy. It's disgusting. But I think we need to shine a light on this kind of stuff. And you actually posted one of these clips on Twitter because he didn't post it on YouTube because he knew he'd get flagged for it. So this clip will just bring just give you some context for why I think it's appropriate to just roast the shit out of these two scumbags on part of my platform. So let's watch this clip. It goes for 2 minutes.
Tonight, Whack an Atheist. We got a good one for you tonight. Evolution is a religion. Got some morons just as evil as these guys I'm going to name who want to have a new world order now. And they don't mind killing everybody in their way, whether jabbing them in the arm, and kill them slowly, or whether to spray chemtrails in the sky. I think everything from the Bible is scientifically accurate, and nothing has ever been proven wrong.
I believe that all of these drag queens, right, should be lined up, every single one of them, by the power of the United States Constitution.
Go to chemtrails911.com. The reality is this stuff they're spraying out is going to electrify the soil. Considering having your children vaccinated or getting vaccinated yourself for anything, flu vaccine included, I would really think twice about that. Satan is seeing to it that well-meaning parents are destroying their baby's immune system, putting over 22 viruses into their system before they are 2. Richard Dawkins may believe in it, but it's a belief that he has. It's not science.
And as far as homosexuality goes, I believe the Bible puts a death penalty on it. Obviously not by me or by anybody, in our regular society. Obviously, I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals. And, I believe that the Bible says clearly that homosexuality is a criminal crime. It's a crime. It's one of the worst crimes ever.
The whole purpose of that thing that happened in Las Vegas is to take away the gun. And if you think what happened in Oklahoma is what they're telling you on the news, you are absolutely duped, okay? One guy did not fire all those rounds. All the pictures they show of the blood is still red. That's movie blood they use for movies. When the evil people do some stuff like this and blame this guy, watch what happens to his assets. I'll bet they seize everything the guy's got.
The thing is, the Bible does say there is a time to hate.
So what a piece of shit. So everyone get the trending hashtag fuck Matt Powell going. Aaron Ra said a lifetime in his book, The Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, a lifetime ago, someone said that when fascism comes to America, it'll be wrapped in a flag and carrying a cross. That day has come.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just me, but I think the video skipped for a second when it got to Matt Powell talking about the drag queens thing. But I know what he said there, and I found a news article that said because Matt Powell released his video in June of this year, and then 1 month later in July there was a drag queen library story hour in Canada where a guy was trying to assault the attendees and hit them with a flagpole. He was driving a truck that had Canadian flags on the back, and he was doing like donuts in the parking lot and driving around the library. And then when people came out, he like got out of his truck and was like swinging the flagpole at people trying to hit them. And then the cops like arrested him. I'm not saying there's a connection, but when Matt Powell says, "Oh, I think the government should, execute these drag queens," what he's saying is the implication is to all of his Christian nationalist viewers who are gun owners, they know that the government is never actually going to do this. So the implication is you guys need to take matters into your own hands. And, I think that it is an incitement of violence, and I take it seriously, and I think that he should be banned from YouTube for that. I think he clearly has violated their hate speech guidelines, and he could even you could even say that he should be arrested for saying these things. I don't know.
I had a whole conversation with Stardust about this. She's a left-leaning progressive liberal. But she has got conversations. She gets a lot of flack because she has conversations with like Richard Spencer and stuff on her channel. And we had a whole conversation about platforming. I still don't know where I land with it, but she made a good point in that. Yeah, like probably, yeah, he seems like he's breaking the terms of YouTube service for sure. But her point was essentially that I don't know what her point was. I don't think she'd be in favor of what Matt Powell's doing, actually, to be honest. So I don't know where I was going with that, but the thing is too, if I'm not sure if the video cut out for everyone else, but he essentially said that that drag queens who and I cut out the section just to keep it short, who in quote flaunt their bodies around children should be publicly executed by a firing squad, and he thinks that the US government should do it. Now, I don't know if you can call that stochastic terrorism, which is essentially where you aren't actually committing terrorist acts yourself, but you're vilifying a group of people over and over and over again in order that a reasonable outcome would be violence to that group. So I don't know. The jury could still be out on whether that is actually a form of stochastic terrorism, or whether or not he was just voicing a really horrible opinion. Anyway, I hope that gives everyone some context about why we're talking about this, and why we're also making fun of it, because I think it's something that we should make fun of. Hashtag fuck Matt Powell and fuck Kent Hovind. So you've been whacked off by Kent Hovind many times. I really want to be whacked off by Kent Hovind. How do I get whacked off by Kent Hovind?
Well, first of
He
all,
loves whacking off atheists, so I just...
Yeah, I mean, is your channel a video? Does your channel have a lot of videos that are about atheism?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, first you have to get on Kent's radar. So I think you're getting there. You know, your channel is growing. Kent seems to want to go after channels that have decent sub counts, because, you know, part of it is that he knows that the back and forth is going to increase his view count, because Kent is very obsessed with his YouTube views. Not that I think that there's anything wrong with that, but it just annoys me when people are like that and they act like they're not. Like, it's okay to be concerned with your view count, but don't act like you don't care when you obviously do. That's just what irritates me.
Yeah.
He's also very obsessed
got like
with my view count.
200,000 subscribers.
He has 200,000 subscribers, and me and him get almost exactly the same view counts on our videos. Which doesn't really make sense.
I wonder if do you think there's a greater percentage of people who subscribe to him for to hate watch him, or people who actually like his content? This is speculation, but
yeah, I think it's mostly Christians who watch. I think it's mostly his supporters who watch. I think he just has a lot of subscribers that just are old subscribers who just don't tune in anymore. Although I do find it kind of odd, because he recently hit 200,000, and then in the past couple weeks or month, he's gained like 4,000 subscribers, and I'm just kind of like wondering where from. I mean, I'm not going to accuse him of buying subs, because I can't prove that, but you know, the sub ratio, the sub to view count ratio doesn't add up. I mean, like, I would say that basically all of my subscribers watch the content I put out, because the sub count I have really matches up with the views. Sometimes it's more than the sub count I have, which means that new viewers are discovering it, or people are watching the videos more than once. And that is one thing I think I have an advantage over Kent, is because I think that people can go and watch my videos more than once. I don't think anybody is going to go watch Kent Hovind's Bible study more than once, except for weirdos like me who watch like way too much Kent Hovind videos. But at least I have sort of an excuse now, because I kind of treat it as a job.
Yeah.
Like research.
So Kent Hovind, who is Kent Hovind? He's like, can you give us a little rundown? Who is this man that clears his throat all the time, that obviously needs some lozenges or something?
Yeah. You know, it's like, that's a hard question. You know, it's like asking, you know, like, what is love? You know, baby, don't hurt me no more. What is Hovind? What am I? Like, what is reality? What is life? But Kent Hovind is a man. Kent Hovind is a small man, not physically, but he's very small in terms of he's got a Napoleon complex. So he's extremely defensive. He's narcissistic. He's what's the word? I did a poll on this on my channel the other day. I can't even remember it. I'm drawing a blank. He's pretentious. He thinks he's a lot smarter than he is. But if I had to give a biography of him, he is a religious preacher. He's a Southern Baptist. He is a younger creationist who thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old in addition to the universe. He basically copied all of his beliefs off of other creationists like Walt Brown, Henry Morris, Dwayne Gish, Ken Ham, all the classics, Ray Comfort. Very few of his arguments are original. He basically is copying the other creationist homework, which is a creationist tradition, I mean, he even basically stole his name from Walt Brown's organization because Walt Brown's thing is just called creation science and can't just tack the word evangelism on the end, But, he is a sovereign citizen. He's a tax protester. He is a anti-feminist. He's anti-LGBT. He is a boomer. He is a conspiracy theorist. He thinks that the Oklahoma City bombing was done intentionally by the government in order to bring down heat on the militia groups in the United States and to promote gun control. He thinks 9/11 was an inside job. He thinks that
Wait, does he
chemtrails are
really?
real. Yeah, he thinks the Illuminati is real.
Right.
He thinks that the movie Wizard of Oz was a coded message for chemtrails, and he thinks that Bill Clinton wants to start a new world order and reduce the world's population to 1 billion. So Kent, he has a lot of fucked up beliefs, but he's basically just an old shitty person.
Have you seen that that image of like the conspiracy theory pyramid?
No, I have not. But yes, he is also a convicted criminal. He spent 9 years in jail for 45 counts of structuring, not withholding Social Security tax from his employees, who he claimed were missionaries. 1 count of trying to intimidate an IRS agent, and also, yeah, it was the structuring, and then the Social Security taxes, failure to withhold, and then the intimidating an IRS agent. Went to jail for 9 years. Can't admit he did anything wrong. Is physically incapable of ever admitting that he's made a mistake. Is convinced he's innocent. Has been divorced 3 or 4 times. None of them were my fault. They left me.
Not that matters. Not
left
that
me.
matters, but yeah, they left me. Not that matters, but for the average Joe. But when you have this like pattern of bad behavior, I also heard he's a fan of wrestling. Like he really loves like power bombing or body slamming like peeps and stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know
Huge
about
fan of
wrestling, but yeah, he got convicted he received a guilty verdict for domestic abuse against his third wife, Cindy Lincoln, and he tried to ask for a retrial and was denied by the courts. And then he appealed the verdict. Now that appeal process has been going on since last year. The reason it's been delayed so long is because of COVID-19, because there have been 5 murder trials in Lenox, Alabama in the past year, and because Lenox is a very, very small town, so they have small courts with limited resources. But I think, and also Cindy got a restraining order against him, but the gears of justice are turning. I'll just say that, things are starting to happen with Kent and his court stuff after a long, long wait.
Yeah. Just Mr. Bootleg asked a really good question. Curious, is the Bible to blame for their actions? I don't think so.
No,
but
Kent uses the Bible as a shield. Kent doesn't, he hardly even really understands the Bible. I make a joke about this to my friend Mark Stoney, but I say that I'm a better Christian than Kent is.
You definitely are. So I think though, what happens when you start engaging in science denial, or I'll call reality denial, when you have to start making the Bible fit things. I think that could be part of the reason why this is all happening. I think if you have to believe science is a liar sometimes, then why not with the gravity and the Earth being flat and 9/11 and all that stuff? Like it all plays into itself. And I got sent this by P Barnes, but I didn't actually open it with P Barnes, but I've got it here. But this is the pyramid, the conspiracy chart. So have you ever seen this before?
No, I have not.
So right at the bottom here, you've got grounded in reality.
Mhm.
And then you've got some conspiracies that things that actually happened. So you got MK Ultra,
Yeah, that's
NSA mass
crazy.
surveillance.
That is some crazy shit. MK
Yeah.
Ultra.
Yeah. And then you got the speculation line. So we have questions about UFOs, Roswell, Free Britney. And then you have like crop circles, which is inequivocally false, but mostly harmless. Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot. Then you start moving into dangerous, and that's like anti-vaxxers, COVID-19 made in a lab, 5G, chemtrails, essential oils cure illnesses, global warming is a hoax, jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. So, and then you pass the anti-Semitic point of no return, which is the world is ruled by supreme shadow elites. Once you believe one, you usually believe the most. Get help. So that's like Pizzagate, the moon landing was fake, Illuminati, QAnon, the deep state, New World Order, Bill Gates microchipping, Holocaust denial. So I'm actually wondering, do you know if he's a Holocaust denier? Because I was trying to look that up yesterday, but I couldn't find anything about it.
I would say no, but Kent is anti-Semitic. So
Okay.
Kent just in a recent video was promoting the book what's the fuck, I can't think of the name of it. Let me Google this real quick. So he was promoting the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. So that is like the classic anti-Semitic book. It's all bullshit, but you know, Kent.
Well, I link every book in the description, but I will not be linking this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that book basically also Fourth Reich of the Rich. So the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a conspiracy book that was used by the Nazis and was taught in German schools when Hitler was in charge to teach people that Jews run the world in an evil Jewish conspiracy and all of the world's problems are because of this Jewish conspiracy. But all of the facts in the book were bullshit. And you know, Kent, as recently as like a few weeks ago, was saying, "Oh, do we show that book? Do we show that book?" In a video when he was talking about how bad Hitler is, and I left a comment saying, "You can't say that how bad Hitler is and then promote this book in the same video. You can't do that."
Yeah, when my wife and I went to Berlin and we did a tour with a tour of like a bike tour through Berlin, and we went to the memorial for the murdered Jews of Europe, and we went to like a bunch of the Berlin Wall and all that. And one thing they pointed out when I was there, I don't know, I haven't verified this, but they burnt the Origin of Species. When the Nazis did a book burning, they burnt the Origin of Species.
Yeah, exactly right. So did the Soviets.
Which is mind-boggling when you have people like Matt Powell and Kent Hovind, Batman and Robin, but the evil side of them, saying things like evolution is the reason why the Holocaust happened. Like evolution and Darwin is the reason why the Holocaust happened. And you're like, what? They literally, the Nazis had God with us on their belt buckles. Right. Michael Granado might correct me there, but I've heard that before. And in Mein Kampf, you know, Hitler said, "I believe I'm doing the job of the Almighty Creator when I'm exterminating the Jew." Like, I don't understand how Matt Powell and Kent Hovind can say that this is an evolutionary worldview. So Michael Granado said, yes, they did. Good. He's Mark Granado. For everyone who doesn't know, make sure you go check out his channel as well. He's an expert in World War II philosophy, science. He's a great dude.
Yeah, and I think Michael asked a question to me in the chat. It said, do you think, I'm assuming he's talking about Hovind, do you think his belief is sincere? Like maybe he started off as a believer, but now it's more of an act. So I've been asked this question a whole bunch. And usually when people ask me that, it's more of, do you think that Hovind actually believes the shit he says? And to answer that question, it's sort of easier if you split up the things that he says into two categories. So you have on one category, you have the religious claims, like the claims about young earth creationism, like universe is 6,000 years old, Noah's flood happened, like Moses existed, fossils were caused by the flood, hydroplate theory, we're going to judgment day, shit like that. When Kent says that stuff, he believes that stuff. 100%. He believes it's true. When it comes to Kent saying shit like, "Oh, you believe it came from a rock," or do you think you're related to a strawberry? Like that's Kent knows that shit isn't true. Or when he says that, Earth was in a dot, you couldn't compress the bowling ball into a dot, and much less the whole Earth. Kent knows that
it's a religion. A religion.
Yeah, he knows that scientists, cosmologists say that the Earth wasn't there right when the Big Bang started. He knows that they say it didn't form until billions of years later. So when he says stuff like, well, you couldn't compress the whole Earth into a dot, when he says shit like you came from rock, that's just Kent making fun of evolutionist atheists. That's just him making fun of people. He knows that shit isn't true. He will never admit that, but he knows it's not true because Kent likes calling people stupid and mocking people. So the religious stuff, Kent 100% believes that. Once Kent decides that something's true, it's true in his mind. Also, some of the stuff he'll claim about science, like, in his mind, that's true. But when he says something that is done in a way to mock other people, I think Kent knows that stuff is wrong, but just doesn't care because making fun of people is more important. So that's the way I would answer that question. The religious stuff, I do think he sincerely believes it.
Listening to you, man, I just feel like you're being dishonest. I think I'm on Kent's side now. I agree with Big Bad Mama. She says, AJ, you just want your religion to be taught in public schools. She makes a good point.
I think my videos need to be shown in public schools at least an hour and a half to 3 hours a day. Like there should be a class period each day where my videos are shown. It should be like a Clockwork Orange where the kids' eyes are like forced open so they can't look away. And I want to indoctrinate people's children.
Yeah, with the awesome religion of evolution. I actually, so I don't know if you know this, AJ, but we're actually both doing experiments right now. So we've got some liquid here. I'm going to do a refill, but we might find life will just spontaneously evolve in this cup and start talking to us. So we can keep looking at it. I don't know if it's going to evolve, but there are billions of particles maybe of water in this. So we're actually running billions of experiments at once.
Right. That's something I learned from Big Bad Mama. You mentioned compilation videos of Kent, and I do have videos like that on my channel. I don't really make them anymore, but I do have videos on there. I don't know if you are still looking for some of those, but Big Bad Mama, I have encouraged to make videos and basically I like to encourage people to do YouTube because it's fun, and you never know. And if it's good content, people will watch it, and I'm in the lucky enough position to where if I see somebody who making a video that I like, I can post it on my community tab and send people over there, and then see the view count go up to like 1,000 views, and I think that's really awesome, and I like to help people out like that.
So is this a call to action? So maybe we can, if anyone's wants to, maybe this is the reason to start a YouTube channel. Hashtag fuck Matt Powell, hashtag fuck Kent Hovind. If you want to promote a video, we can both try and share it for you if it's cool. We got to do it. We got to get this thing going. Bring the attention to him. He wants it.
Yeah, I will say, I started off doing YouTube. I did everything on my phone. I made all my videos on my phone. The audio was shit. The production quality was not very good. But people still watched it, and people liked the videos. I do think that you need a fairly varied skill set if you're going to be on YouTube and be on camera. And not everybody's comfortable being on camera. Like, I still feel like I could get a lot better, because I think that I'm fairly awkward on camera. I like these weird facial twitches, or like I'll just start making weird noises, or like groaning, or just doing weird voices. But I think I'm getting better.
Yeah,
that's why I make my webcam really small.
That's the same as me. I always say there's so many things I'm trying to get better at, and one of the things that I remember, one of the first videos I did was, I was trying to be a lot more serious when I first started my YouTube channel. That's not the Deep Drinks channel, it's my main channel, linked in the description, youtube.com/DaveMcDonaldYT. But I remember I was trying to make a video on Buddhism, and I was trying to talk about the story of Kisakotami. And there's a book right there next to the statue of Shiva. And I literally walked in to frame, picked the book up, sat down, looked at the camera and said, I want to tell you a story. And that shot of me reshooting that 25 times. 25 times. I was not happy with 25 other no one cares. Like, it's got like 200 views. The video is garbage, but like I was trying so hard at the start, and I was so awkward, and I'd bump something, or I would, it's and it's very confronting when you first start, especially showing yourself. It's like, ooh, vulnerable.
Yeah, honestly, that's why I really don't do pre-recorded videos. I do everything live streamed, because if I'm going to do a pre-recorded video with a script, then I feel like I have to try and memorize the lines I'm going to say, and like be looking at the camera. And I have a horrible memory. And I just end up recording the same. I end up doing the same take like 35 times, and it's just not fun for me. So that's why I feel like I just like doing live content better, because instead of having like a script, I can just have like notes. And then, I'm sure you've seen like some of my videos where I'll play like an entire Kent Hovind video. Like, you can't say that I'm misrepresenting him, because I play the whole fucking thing. And I'll pause it, and I know what I'm going to say, and I don't try to pretend like I'm not reading from my notes. But I feel like as long as my notes are good, and I am saying them in a way that's topical, and like not fumbling over my words too much, because the thing I really struggle with is the ums, and I also say constantly.
Yeah,
when I don't even realize I'm doing it.
I'll go like right, yeah.
Yes, like I am the type of person to where if I am thinking about what I'm gonna say, I don't just like blurt something out. I'll just like take a really long time to get a thought out. And I know it's very aggravating to watch, because I'll watch my own videos sometimes, and I'll just be like, dude, just fucking spit it out, you moron.
Yeah. We can be our harshest critics, hey.
Well, that's why the advice I give to people who are going to start doing YouTube is to watch your own videos back, and you want your videos to be watchable, because if you want to turn it off after like 30 seconds, then there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some really interesting comments. So P-Bun said, Kent Hovind, if we evolve from apes, then why can't I funnel thousands of dollars in an attempt to hide my income?
Hey, you might be an ape, but I'm not. I mean, I've met some people who convinced me. Of course, they were all black.
Man, I remember being convinced by Kent Hovind just by his rhetoric back in the day. Funny to look back at my ridiculous epistemology. So, welcome out of the. Hey, look, I once borrowed my friend's Answers in Genesis DVDs. Right? If you were a former Christian, we've all been there. Like it happens.
Yeah. You were saying that a lot of Kent Hovind's fans, they're not really gonna have their minds changed. But I will say that I did get a comment from people, and I have gotten some similar comments. They're very rare, but I had a person leave a comment that told me that they were a Christian and they were planning on driving down to Dinosaur Adventureland to stay there. And then they saw my videos and then they canceled the trip. They decided not to. I was like, that's
wow.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
cool. And what's cool is you're friends with Kent's Kent's ex-wife.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like she's a Christian, but that's totally all good.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to convert her or deconvert her or anything. Like you're just friends, but you both have this you're both trying to talk about the issues. Your camera has just gone a bit funny. Is that temporary?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I've been my camera does that sometimes. I've been having a little bit of issues. I hope that's okay if I have it off for a second. I'm just tinkering with some settings. Okay, yeah, I'll have it back on in a sec. Yeah.
Well, actually, it might be a good time to actually move over to this list of this tier map that tier list that I've created. So I'll add that to the stream. So we have some classic Kent Hovind memes, right? So just things that he says, and I want to rank them with you. And I was hoping that you could help me find a slot for these bad boys.
Absolutely. I am always willing to help people find where to stick things in the right slot.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So I guess so we got S, which is the top tier, A, B, C, D. Everyone knows what a tier list is. Where do you think cosmic evolution lands when he starts talking about cosmic evolution?
So, how are we
grading it?
Yeah, what is the ranking supposed to be? Best meme, funniest meme,
I think I guess it's just most iconic. I think we'll go with iconic because some things people might not have heard of, but some are just this is definitely bigger.
I will say one idea I've had kicking around was doing a top 5 worst Kent Hovind arguments.
Yeah, if you wanted if you wanted me to come on and help you with that one, I'll be more than happy to come on your channel and do that. But where would we put cosmic evolution in regards to a classic, an iconic, how iconic it is for Kent Hovind? When you think Kent Hovind, you think.
See, I would say when it comes to iconic, I would think of not necessarily cosmic, but 6 types of evolution. So while that's one of the 6 types, I would probably put it high because the 6 types is Kent's most iconic meme. So I'd probably put it up in A or B, but
all right.
Yeah.
We'll go,
I mean, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the OG.
Okay. Awesome. We have, I'm going to just remove the banner just briefly. We have come on down to Dinosaur Adventureland. His classic one-liner. I mean,
yeah, I will say
C or something.
Yeah, C, because he says that to everybody. It's not. It doesn't make you special. You're not special.
Yeah. Evolution is the dumbest religion.
I would put that in S tier.
Yeah, that is that's his main talking point. That's his that's the funniest thing he says, because it's almost because he's projecting a little bit, right? Is he insecure about his religion? Why is he saying that? Is he why? I don't get it. Well, why is he saying that? It's obviously not a religion.
I was watching a video of his earlier, and he was saying the Big Bang, it's dumb, it's retarded, it's religious. It's okay, well, does that mean you think that things are religious are dumb and retarded?
Yeah.
Is religion bad?
Yeah.
It is if it's not Christianity. And also, like, atheism is a religion to Kent. So, I guess, like, I have 2 religions or maybe more,
You're a polytheist. You worship evolution, Darwin, atheism. What else?
Time, chance.
Geological time scale.
Is that like the geological column?
Yeah, the geological column. So he's like, I was gonna say column or strata, but I was like, I'll go with geological time scale, where he's like, how do we tell the age of the rocks? And it's like, we check the fossils. Well, how do you check the age of the fossils? Or you check the rocks? And
I'd go A tier for that one.
okay, all right, yeah, all right, A tier, A tier. Ooh, this one's good. Life from rocks. If you believe your great grandfather was a rock,
that is an iconic Kent Hovind horrible misrepresentation. So I would put that in S for shitty tier.
Yeah, shitty tier for sure. Whale dicks, and I got a little photo of Godless Engineer in that one because he just got so
yeah. So I'm thinking either D for dicks or S tier for how iconic it is. Either one.
Let's go D for dicks. Keep it.
Okay,
Keep it.
that's just funny.
D for dicks, but this is funny. Yeah. Dogs don't produce non-dogs.
That's like SS tier. Easily
It's
yes.
like, okay, awesome. Whacking atheists. He loves whacking off atheists.
That's fairly newer. So B is looking a little lonely. Why don't we slap that in B tier, like a B cup?
Clearing throat. Yes.
You can put that in C. I don't want to think about that. So much phlegm.
Yeah.
So much phlegm.
The phlegmiest throat ever. And his iconic quote, "I'm squeaky clean." I'm not sure if this was the first time he went to jail or if it's his current mishaps.
That was more recent. So that was when Kent got arrested and bailed out of jail. And you could see the bail bond paper on the internet with his signature on it. But he also said, "I didn't get arrested. I'm squeaky clean. I'm squeaky Hovind.
Squeaky Hovind.
So clean.
Whacking off atheists." Oh man, I don't know if it's the tequila, but I just get so happy hearing the Kent Hovind voice and the and that. So where would squeaky clean go?
I will say, just for you've made a big letter F with these images. I'm almost sad to mess with that. So I say put it in S tier just to not interfere with the giant F for failure.
Awesome. Failure. Yeah. Awesome.
That is
awesome.
Great. That evolved.
Oh, great. Okay, and I'll put back on the banner, but as everyone knows, if you didn't catch the start, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're doing a charity stream where we'll be watching, hopefully we'll be watching a cowboy movie with Kenneth Copeland. So that's what we're at last week, and now we've bumped up this week, and I think we're even at some more already. So thanks to everyone who subscribed if you like this kind of content. So yeah, thank you. I was hoping, AJ, that we could kind of wrap up this interview by watching a video on Kent Hovind and just commentating on it. And maybe even one with Matt Powell as well, but we'll see how we go with time.
Yeah, I do want to make sure I answer any questions that I've missed from the chat. I see one. I don't know if there's any other ones, but
yeah, let's answer that. Let's answer that one. Which one?
So, P Barnes. So. Yeah. Can you read it out?
Do you think there is a point where repeated debates with Kent becomes a false economy? King Croc and Aaron Rye debates become a little cringy and kind of worked in Kent's favor.
So I'm curious as to how this person means false economy. Because Aaron really had a discussion with Kent, and then he had a video exchange debate with Kent, where they sort of exchanged videos and it turned into a huge clusterfuck. But I loved that debate series.
He got so confused. Hey, it's like Aaron's like, he started doing episode 2 when we weren't even like, he's like, he just
those are some of my favorite YouTube videos ever. The discussion video is okay. It's very dated, and it's all right. But I love, like, I go back and watch those R and Raw videos any day. Even the Kent videos I think are hilarious. Like
Yeah.
him putting a fucking crying baby's face over Aaron's face. Like,
That's
I
so
I
funny.
can't help but laugh at it. So I would disagree in terms of these two debaters because I think they had nothing but great debates with Kent. But I do think that there's some truth to what you're saying, because there are some people who I think have lost debates to Kent Hovind. I won't name names. Of course, I'm 2-0 against Kent. I've won both of my debates against him. I destroyed him in the last debate. But there are people who I think have lost against Kent. Kent is not an easy person to debate against. He's very experienced. He is very difficult to debate because he will wear you down. He'll gish gallop. He's mentally exhausting to go up against. And I do think that there have been situations where I've seen people, perform worse. I've also seen debaters go up against Kent more than once where they've improved a ton. Like David Emery in his last debate, I thought did much better. Yeah. So I guess it just depends on the person, But ultimately, my opinion is nobody should debate Kent. No one should debate Kent. We should all stop. But if people are going to debate Kent, if they have to do it, well, then I think you should do it the right way. You should go in prepared. You should know your arguments and know his rhetoric and know how to beat the best way to beat Kent in a debate. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of want to debate Kent, but I just need to work out how, because it wouldn't be a debate. Like for me, it would just be a meme. It would just be creating another internet meme. Like it'd be trying to piss him off a little bit. But but in regards to like proper debates, like people who actually know what they're talking about, who actually care, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I do like. You see, I was listening to the King Crocodile, the Beautiful Destruction of Kent Hovind, King Crocodile episode. That was fantastic. Like to me, that just like that debate was amazing to me because he kind of attacked Kent in areas that in the cosmic evolution he didn't talk about evolution. He just talked about Big Bang cosmology and how we can know light from stars is X amount away and stuff.
Well, Kent was desperate to talk about evolution in those debates. He wanted to so badly.
He was pivoting real bad. Just a shout out, and I'll put a link in the description. If anyone wants to read this book, it's a fantastic book. Aaron Ra, he'd be a dream guest on the Deep Drinks podcast. He's almost impossible to get in contact with though. But this book is fantastic. I was re-listening to the Audible version last night. It is it just goes over the controversy, why it matters. It goes over the foundational falsehoods of creationism. And I know, AJ, that you recommended this book as well. So and you can see my little post-it notes at the top here. Yeah, it's really fantastic. You get lovely quotes in there, like from Christians who are like, it's okay to lie if you're lying for Jesus, or we know that the fossil record says X, but we need to teach the kids that it says Y because it's important.
I was able to do an interview with Aaron, luckily, but he is a very busy man. But yeah, he was a big inspiration for me. It still is, for why I started my channel and for some of the videos I do. So yeah, great book. I recommend the audiobook.
The audiobook is great on Audible. I feel like, I grow chilies. I used to have like 50 different species of chilies in my backyard. And as we know, Aaron Ra loves chilies. I feel like if he came on, I'd have to incorporate chilies into it somewhere where we like almost like a Hot Ones kind of thing where we're going up in different ranks of chilies. But that's a dream interview. We'll get there one day, I hope. Yeah, it's a great book, great guy. Yeah,
chilies, baby back ribs.
There's That's not. Is that of The Simpsons? There was
It's
an
off
episode of The
Austin
Simpsons where
Powers.
they. Oh yeah, true. There was an episode of The Simpsons where they parodied Kent Hovind. You know, do you know the one? It's like
Yeah. It's like I
I
got
know.
my degree from Christian Tech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a degree in truthology from
Yes.
Christian Tech. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Kent Hovind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another thing, before we jump into the video, just last thing I wanted to mention is so he used to have this. Do you remember his little experiment that he used to run? He used to have this like competition. He would give anyone 250 grand if they could prove evolution.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
So I'm sure he got this idea from James Randi. If anyone doesn't know who James Randi is, James Randi he passed away a few years ago. Great man, and he would fight pseudoscience. He took down Uri Geller, some preachers who were obviously listening to things in their ear and stuff to get. He's a great dude, and he had this competition for ages, for years, like 35 years or maybe longer. I don't know. It was a long time where he would offer $1 million to anyone that could prove anything supernatural, and both parties would agree to the terms beforehand, and then they would run the experiments. And there's heaps of them. You can go onto the Wikipedia page and you can see heaps of them. And every time, no one could prove the supernatural exists under their own testing conditions. So they go, "Yep, I'm a medium. I can do this," and then. He would say, "Okay, well, if you could do this, does that mean you could do X, Y, Z?" And they go, "Yep." And they go, "Okay, let's put it in a testing environment." And they would test it every time. It would fail every single time. Mediums,
Or they wouldn't show up.
Yeah, or they wouldn't show up. Yeah, or they would refuse to do it. And it went for ages. So Kent thought, I'm pretty sure he had to have got the idea from that. He said, "Prove to me that evolution is prove." And he'd say, "Well, $250,000 to anyone who can prove that evolution is true." But the problem is, when you actually looked at the requirements for what you needed to do to prove evolution was true, they were ridiculous. So this is a great example of what we're going to go into, which is surface level. Oh yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, no one can prove evolution is true. But when you look into the details, like we will with this video, it's all bad news. So time, this is the first thing you needed to prove evolution was true. Time, space, and matter came into existence by themselves. I don't know who thinks that at all. Planets and stars formed from space dust. Okay, so like the words, you can see how he's got an out here with everything. Matter created life by itself. So the word created there is like, a problem. Early life forms learned to reproduce themselves. Okay, that maybe you could prove that one. Major changes occur between these diverse life forms. Fish change to amphibians change to reptiles, and reptiles change to birds or mammals. But the first point, no one can prove that they came into existence by themselves. That's not something that you can prove. That's impossible. And that's not even part of evolution at all. The first 1, 2, 3, the first 3 things of the 5 do not have anything to do with evolution.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you brought up James Randi, because a big distinction between Kent's offer and James is any potential person, like any mystic, or what, I forget the word you used for those people who mediums, any potential medium who wanted to take the challenge. James Randi would allow them to see the check, to check the bank account number, to see that the money was actually there, to see that the offer was legitimate. Kent Hovind never did anything like that. He would never let people know like the bank account number or what bank it was or who was offering the money. Never. He said that he had 10 judges who would judge any entrance, any submissions. He just said that they were scientists. He never said who they were. They obviously never existed. And another thing about those stipulations is you also had to prove that God couldn't have done it.
It's like it's like okay, like,
so you have to presuppose that God exists already.
yeah.
And he, like Aaron said, that you have to presuppose that God exists, and since God has unlimited magic, that means that it was just a disingenuous bait and switch scam.
Yeah.
It was just to show, oh, look, nobody took Hovind's challenge, so evolution must be false.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
let's before
Let's do
we
it.
before I get too drunk, let's watch this this video together and we can commentate on it.
Alrighty.
So just let me know when you want to pause things. I'm just going to skip forward to the part where Kent's talking. So are you familiar with this clip? You probably
Sure. The where did God come from?
yeah.
Yeah.
So just let us know when you want to mention anything, or I'll stop when I think we should stop.
We're supposed to do one question at a time. Which one would you like? That was part of the format for the debate. So which
I
question?
want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay, so 2 questions. All right.
Go ahead.
All right, your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant.
Need to stop there. There's so much you'd have to dig into this whole stream could have just been about this video, but there's so much you have to dig into there of what he just said that is yeah, like, wouldn't this be the same case for every god? Wouldn't this be the same case for like the flying spaghetti monster or anything? Aren't you just like creating this amorphous idea in your head and then projecting it in something that you can never reach?
Yeah, he's just making these claims, but he doesn't substantiate them. He doesn't say why this would be not the biblical God. And you don't separate time and space when talking about Big Bang cosmology. It's space-time. So you have something called the fabric of space-time. And really, we don't know if the universe is eternal, or if time is infinite, or if time started when the Big Bang happened, when cosmic expansion started. We really don't know. So you can't say that time and space have to come into existence at the same time, because that's just when the Big Bang happened, that's just for us, it's time starting, but that's just on our human understanding. And matter didn't come into existence at that same time, because when shortly after the Big Bang had first started, the entire universe was way, way too hot for atomic nuclei like protons and neutrons to be able to coalesce and form atomic bonds. So without that, you don't have any solids, you don't have any gas, you don't have any liquids, you don't have matter until many, like hundreds of thousands of years later, when the universe cooled down. And then you can have these atomic nuclei forming and having electrical charges and bonds. And then you get stuff like gases and space dust forming solar nebula, forming stars, forming planets. Then you get matter. It's not instantly when the Big Bang starts.
Mm-hmm. Well, evolution's ways are above our ways. And also, I'm just checking this experiment. No life is formed. So unfortunately, it's looking like Kent might be on point with this one. He might be accurate. Anyway, let's keep watching.
But no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words.
That's cute when he tries to use logic, like when he tries to like make things fit.
Words.
I mean, I'll tell you where you can put it, Kent.
In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, there's matter. So you have time, space, matter created, a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's
Can you rewind that just a little bit? To like when he started doing the trinities part. Yeah.
There's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, there's matter. So you have time, space, matter, created a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God. The guy who created this computer is not in the computer. He's not running around in there changing the numbers on the screen, okay?
But the thing is, he believes that, so there's not a man in the computer running around changing numbers on the screen, right? But he also believes that God did need to come into the computer but in the form of his son. So God needed to send himself down to sacrifice himself to himself to serve as a loophole for rules that he created that he can't circumvent.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that God appeared to actual humans multiple times in the Old Testament. He appeared as a pillar of smoke by day and a volcano by night when Moses was, following the pillar of smoke to eventually climb up the mountain and get the 10 Commandments. And he appeared as a burning bush. So I don't see how that's not God being affected by matter or affecting matter. He appeared in the clouds. He appeared, he was like Mufasa in The Lion King,
Someone asked a very important question. Is that a space tie? I can't tell because this video is 240p, but if it is, that's amazing.
The God who created this universe is outside of the universe. He's above it, beyond it, in it, through it. He's unaffected by it.
I need to stop there really quickly. This is something I get into with the Muslims when I debate them on TikTok as well. Is they will say that we need to be created by something. We need to be created. We need to be created. Something needed to create us. They keep saying this, and I say, who created God? And they say, well, God just was. And I say, why don't you just cut out the middleman and say we just were? The universe just was. Like, well, why do you need to add a third thing? He's like, because it makes no sense. Well, nothing makes sense when you get to that level of foundational like reality. Like nothing makes sense. Like when you go like to us when it's like, oh yeah, before Big Bang there was no time. What? Like that makes nothing. You're not talking about like regular like day-to-day like stuff anymore. You're talking about like really complex, like unworldly by definition, but like in like conceptualizations of like these bizarre and very different like scenarios. Like you're not something need to be created. That makes no sense. Like to try and project it's like saying like, well, doesn't God need a mobile phone? How's he going to talk to people? Like, what are you talking about? Like you're projecting where we are now back to like billions of years, like and foundational elements of how things started.
Well, if God doesn't exist, if he exists outside of reality and not within our reality, then he doesn't exist in our reality.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the concept that a spiritual force cannot have any effect on a material body, well then I guess you'd have to explain to me things like emotions and love and hatred and envy and jealousy and rationality.
That's easy. Yeah, I can explain emotions. Emotions are caused often by hormones. And love, we know, is something that is caused specifically by, I think, a hormone called oxytocin. We know feelings of happiness and elatedness, euphoria, are caused by dopamine and serotonin. And love is basically something that is part of an evolutionary mechanism. So evolution has encouraged living organisms on Earth, something that Darwin called favored races, the organisms that have survived, that are living today, that you need to reproduce, you need to live, you need to survive long enough to reproduce, preferably more than once, and pass on your genes and keep the species alive. So that is going to manifest itself in humans because we're a little bit more complex than a lot of animal species who will basically just have sex and just get the job done. We have emotions, and love is basically a biological function that causes two people to mate. It involves or to become mates. Part of it is pheromones. Part of it is you know, not, I mean, maybe there's part of it that can't be explained by science, but it's not explained by God either. And I
It's
mean,
not. It's also like it's not. You're right. Like we have these emotions, but it's not just all about biological. Like if like if two people are in love, they're not just mating for procreation. Like they're doing it for fun as well. And in fact, sometimes when one partner doesn't want to have sex and the other partner does, they might just whack them off. And and we know Kent loves to whack off atheists. So it's like these are things you do that to people you love. You whack them off if they're not in the mood to do more than whacking off. So and another great example of chemistry is now that we're 90 minutes into an interview, I'm talking about whacking off too much, and I've had and that's because I've been affected by this margarita. The chemistry in this margarita has affected my brain so much that so much so that I'm now talking about Kent whacking off atheists too much. Michael
Yeah.
Granado is like, David, what? Sorry, we better end this soon. But
yeah, just hit play.
I mean, if your brain is just a random collection of chemicals that formed by chance over billions of years, how on earth can you trust your own reasoning processes and the thoughts that you think? Okay, so.
And he gets a
You can answer that.
Your question.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that it's simply a random collection of chemicals. We know based on evolution that we have a brain that you could say is structured in 3 layers. So we have the internal smallest layer is something that's called the reptilian cortex that takes care of your most basic non-conscious functions like breathing while you're asleep, keeping your heart beating, your blood pumping, maybe even like blinking or producing saliva and releasing stomach acid, stuff that you don't even think about. Our most base level functions, but stuff that we need to do to keep ourselves alive. And then you sort of have another layer wrapped around that that is, I forget the name of that one, and then we have a third layer that is like our neocortex, where you have higher level thinking, you have emotions, you have memories being stored, you have things that the higher level brain tissue, the neurons that allow us to do things like playing the piano, having conversations like you and me are having right now, build computers, do advanced things that other animals simply can't do. So it's not random. It correlates with evolution because we know that there was a time when there was no mammals on the earth. There was none. There was reptiles. And then we had something called the reptile mammal transition. And we had cow lizards. And we had lizard dogs. We have fossils to show this. Like this happened. The reptile mammal transition is very well documented. So it makes sense, like it follows that if human beings evolved along this pattern, that we would have a reptilian brain wrapped in sort of a mammal brain, and then that wrapped in the brain of something like Homo sapiens, like wise men, who have a higher level function than other mammals who are not as intelligent as we are. So I don't think it's random. It's not chance. It's like when Kent says that evolution is chance, natural selection isn't chance. It's not random chance that an animal in a cold environment that has thicker fur will have a better survival chance than one that has short fur. That's not random chance. That's totally logical, and it makes sense.
No, you just blew my mind a little bit.
Oh, really?
That's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know. I never conceptualized that with like the lizard brain. When people say lizard brain, I never conceptualized it like that. I'm gonna have to look into some things. That's really interesting. Wow. Okay, let's finish this clip.
God come from is assuming a limited God. And that's your problem. The God that I worship is not limited by time, space, or matter. If I could fit the infinite God in my 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for certain. So that's the God that I worship. Thank you.
That seems like a cop-out, in my opinion. But just to finish what I was saying a second ago, so we have the reptilian or primal brain. So it's called the triune brain. So that's called the basal ganglia. And then the layer outside of that is called the paleomammalian or emotional brain, which is the limbic system. That's what I couldn't think of. And then after that is the neomammalian or the new mammal brain or rational brain, which is the neocortex. So, yeah. But yeah, like why couldn't we have a God that we could understand? Wouldn't that be much better if God had specific rules for us to follow, or else we're going to burn in hell? I would want to be able to that God to communicate clearly what those rules are. I want to be able to understand them. I think that's a cop out, that God works in mysterious ways. Well, fuck that.
Yeah, and it's also frustrating because like they'll say that we need people. God wants us to have faith, right? Because if he just showed us himself, if he just appeared, my gosh, this tequila is really affecting me, obviously. If he just showed, I haven't eaten anything today either, and it's like it was 10 a.m. when I started, 11 a.m. If he just showed us, if he just appeared to us, right, we can still reject him like Satan did, right? But they'll say like, no, if he appears to us, everyone will just believe him or whatever. It's like, no, well, Satan rejected God. Like you can still reject God even if he was like 100% there in the room, right? Like you don't need to have faith. Like faith isn't required for rejection or acceptance. It's kind of the argument of divine hiddenness. That it's Matt Dillahunty's favorite, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just find that so bizarre though, that if I could understand my God, he wouldn't be worth worshiping. Okay, that's weird. You're weird, Kent, and your suit is ugly. You're not Ron Burgundy.
Nah, it slaps. He's got it drips. It's a
Hovind
cool
trip.
Suit. Hovind trips.
Gucci Hovind.
So we're gonna wrap up now because I promised you we wouldn't go over 90 minutes, and we have by a minute 30. Sorry. If everyone wants to go over to AJ's channel, Atheist Junior, and check out your stuff, like if you've enjoyed any of this commentary, he does it all the time on his YouTube channel. It's awesome. Go check it out. He's constantly making content, keeping you up to date, especially with what's going on with Kent at the moment, his court cases, everything like that. He's also got another video coming out with Paula Gia soon.
Yep.
That's going to be an exciting one. Yeah, so everyone make sure you go check out Atheist Junior's channel.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. So thank you for inviting me on. And I know I can tend to ramble a lot sometimes, but I enjoyed it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on here and just blab. Yeah,
well, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed this interview. It's something that you just see a smile on my face the whole time, because if it's anything I love, it's ripping on bad faith actors, and Kent Hovind is a bad faith actor, in my opinion. So just to end, normally I'll put the outro video on now, but I really, really want to be whacked off by Kent Hovind, and I sent him this video 53 times to his emails, to his Facebook, to his Twitter, to his staff's emails. Like I tried everything. Like every time he released a video, I posted links in the YouTube. 53 times I sent it to him, and he never responded. And at this time, I was trying to be a lot more reasonable, a lot more calm and collected, until I found out the stuff I've found out now. So we're going to end. I'm going to play that video as we head off. So, but before we do that, AJ, is there any last words you want to say?
I will say, just make a video titled "The 3 Best Evidences for Evolution," and maybe maybe I could re-upload one of your videos, and then Kent will see it, because Kent literally watches every video I come out with.
Oh, awesome.
So
awesome.
Maybe we can
we might be able to take a clip from this and send to you as well. Or feel free to clip anything of this that you like. Also, we've got to check, has life evolved? Maybe, look, AJ, man, I might be on Kent's side now. Life hasn't evolved in this cup, and there's billions of experiments happening. I don't know what
Well,
to
you know, another one bites the dust.
do. Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for cheering in. And we're going to end with my video talking about Kent Hovind's evidences for young Earth creationism. So see you everyone. Bye. Okay, so Kent Hovind just released his 6 evidences for young Earth creationism. And I'm really excited to check this out because I'm working on a video at the moment where I'm asking for creationists to give evidence for creationism, not just against evolution or against our current understanding of biology or genetic, continental drift or anything like that. I want evidence for creationism. Kent Hovind has been in this game for a while. He's one of the most popular young Earth creationists that has ever existed. So I'm imagining his evidence should be quite strong for creationism. So let's go.
I think the very best evidence of what some people call a young earth is God said he did it in 6 days and nothing died until Adam sinned. And Jesus said that was the beginning of the creation. So the best evidence of a young earth is the Bible. The Bible, certainly the dates in Genesis 5 and Genesis 11.
So his number one evidence is the Bible. And I want to leave this evidence for the last part of the video. And I want to check out all these other evidences first.
The population of the earth today is growing, but if you do the math and go backwards in time, you can make everybody on the planet from 8 people getting off of Noah's Ark 4,500 years ago. Been here for millions of years, why aren't there a whole lot more people? Population is a great indicator that man has not been here for millions of years.
So that argument isn't actually an argument for creationism per se. It's an argument against population statistics and our current understanding of how long humans have been on this earth, which is about 300,000 years. So just to explain further, if evolution was proven to be completely false, that would not add any credence to creationism. Creationism doesn't just win by default. You need to give evidence for creationism. And how we build theories in science is we start with a hypothesis, then we test that hypothesis under certain conditions, and we then build novel, testable predictions and run those predictions through peer-reviewed studies, placebo-controlled trials, double-blind experiments, and the more novel the prediction is, if we test it and it comes true, the higher likelihood that that is an accurate representation of our universe.
You look at the genetic load that's increasing in the gene pool of people. You say, wow, this can't have been going on for a long time.
Once again, he's using this argument, genetic load, to say this can't be happening for a long time. So that's an argument against evolution, not necessarily for creationism.
You can look at the sun. The sun is burning up its fuel source. Obviously, it's burning, and it's shrinking because of its burning up its fuel. And it is not only shrinking, it is throwing off 5 million tons a second. It's losing weight. Well, if your sun's been losing weight for billions of years, if you get back in time in your imagination, the sun would be much heavier, making gravity stronger, sucking all the planets in.
So once again, that's not an argument for creationism, that's an argument against billions of years.
Well, you look at the moon. The moon's going around the Earth, but the moon's getting further away from the Earth. Okay? Well, that means it used to be closer.
So once again, this is arguments against an old Earth. This isn't arguments for young Earth creationism. And I thought this was 6 evidences of young Earth creationism. I'm a bit confused.
And look at the Earth itself. The Earth is spinning, but it slows down.
Many young Earth creationists actually accept a flat Earth model instead of the model that we currently accept in science. So a lot of young Earth creationists would actually disagree with you here, Kent.
But to me, the very best evidence that the Earth is 6,000 years old is exactly what he's the guy who did it.
Okay, so we haven't actually seen any evidence for creationism except for the Bible. Everything else was just an attempt to try and pull apart our current understanding of billions of years, evolution, biology, natural selection, tectonic plates, etc. It's not necessarily an argument for creationism. It's just an argument against an old Earth. So the only arguments he actually gave for creationism was the Bible. So let's address his one piece of evidence for creationism, the Bible. Now, I'm confused why you chose the Bible and not the Kesh Temple hymn written in 2560 BC, or the Epic of Gilgamesh written 2150 BC, or the Rig Veda written between 1500 and 2100 BCE. These are much older texts than the Bible, and they talk about God and the creation account. Genesis was written in 600-500 BCE when Israel was in captivity by the Babylonians. Another thing is if we take the Bible literally, we run into all sorts of problems. So for example, Genesis also has a talking snake, which unless they change a lot physiologically, would be quite hard for a snake to do. Kent Hovind also produced a book called What on Earth is About to Happen for Heaven's Sake? a dissertation on end times according to the Holy Bible. Now I want to highlight the word there, about. See, if we take a literal interpretation of the Bible as Kent Hovind does, we can do some pretty interesting maths that kind of show the silliness of the whole endeavor. So Genesis 22:17 says that Abraham's descendants will outnumber the stars in the sky. If we take a poetic license for this verse, which you could with all the 6-day creation account, you would get to just the stars that you could see in the sky. But let's take a literal interpretation as Kent Hovind is taking with other parts of the Bible. In the universe, we have approximately 200 billion trillion stars. Our current rate of growth, although it is slowing, is 81 million people per year. So before the end can come, Abraham's descendants must outnumber the stars in the sky, because that's what God promised Abraham if you take a literal interpretation to the Bible. And based on our current population growth rates, we would need to wait 2,469,135,800,000,000 years before the end will come. Now, I haven't read Kent Hovind's books, but I believe that he's probably playing fast and loose with the term about to happen. The other problem with Kent Hovind's argument is the Bible has been disproven, at least from a scientific perspective. You can check my video here for some of the history and contradictions that we find in the Bible. However, none of this is a problem if you don't subscribe to the Bible as a literal, perfect text. And many creationists don't do that. So if you are a creationist and you do want to marry up the scientific evidence we have for the universe with your faith, some links in the description as always. Thanks for checking out the video, guys, and I'll see you next time.